Well, the first test is in the books. We're moving on to the second here at Lords. There's plenty going on. We have some chat around the pitch that's going to be thrown up. We have a new player coming in, his second test match in Josh Tongue. For the English, we lose Moeen Ali for that, and they're going for a straight seam pace bowling attack. So Joe Root's going to be their spinner, which is going to be an interesting one. There's a good chance, I imagine, that Mitchie Stark comes in. I'd say there's a good chance it's for Boland. It'll be him or Hazelwood, so we'll discuss Starkey as well, and then go a little bit about, speak a little bit about some of the guys that are under a bit of duress heading into this second test match. So let's start off with Josh Tongue there, and he did play his first match. He got 34 overs against the Irish boys. He had one innings of 5 for 66 and then none for 40 in the other. So what you can say about that one is up to you. Obviously, Ireland not one of the top test countries. I played a fair bit of cricket over in Ireland, so I do love them and know a bunch of the guys in that team. But yeah, they're obviously not to the standard of the Australians. And that was in England, which is good for them. Good for him. It's very interesting they didn't go with Wokesy there. They didn't go with Folks as their keeper. So there's a few interesting ones there. Tongue obviously getting his opportunity, which will be good for him. And I'm not sure how he's going to go against the Aussies, but obviously with the type of pitch they're going to be rolling out, it looks like it's going to be very obviously a little bit more movement and a little bit more going on than there was in the match in game one. So what you're looking at there is a pretty green wicket. You see Smithy there in his whites. They must have had a photo or something beforehand there, but what you're looking at there is a pitch that's going to do a little bit, compared to that last one. Seam a little bit of swing in the air, you'd imagine, for the most part, but obviously the pitch doesn't really change too much depending on how the weather's going to be looking. It sounds like there's potentially a little bit of rain on Thursday, so on day 2 there. But other than that, it looks pretty solid. And a lot of people look at that and go, "Oh, that's really bad." But that's 2 days out, so just remember that it's a couple of days before the test is actually played. They do leave a fair bit of grass on it. If you look at majority of Lords wickets, there's obviously a decent difference between how the pitch looks and how the outfield looks. But a lot of people are saying that it's hard to differentiate the outfield from the pitch at this point. But Smithy's looking at it. He's one of those guys that will be under a little bit of duress, and it's going to be interesting to see how he plays this one. But how it works, guys, is they'll roll this plenty more. They're just got that nice strip ready to go. It's got a fair bit of grass on it, obviously, which is why it's so green. And then they'll trim a lot of that back. They'll roll it plenty more, and it would look a lot different come actual game day. But it'll still be a lot greener than the first test pitch looked like. And really, I think the first test they played into the Aussies' hands. It just became very much an Aussie wicket apart from the bounce. Didn't do a lot off the wicket. It did get a bit of spin later on in the in the test. There was a little bit of spin early, which can happen on Aussie pitches as well. And I really feel like that played into the Aussies' hands, unfortunately for them. Yes, they're playing Bazball. That's also going to be interesting how that's going to go on this wicket as well. And both the bowling attacks are really, really good, obviously. And I think Anderson's going to like this one a little bit more than he did that first one. I don't know if you guys saw the quote, but he was saying that if they put up a pitch like that again, he might just stop playing. So fair enough for him. He's obviously 40 years old and wants there to be a little bit on offer for the bowlers. Otherwise, he's not going to be happy, especially when you're in England. When you can have control over it. It's you want some kind of decent amount of movement or something off the wicket for your bowlers there. So let's go to Starkey and his potential a selection in there, and just really around Scott Boland. I do obviously love him. Everyone in Australia does at the moment. He didn't bowl as well in that last test as he did sort of in the Indian test match, and obviously in Australia as well. So I do think that they're really going to play this based on how quick the matches are, following each other. So actually after test 2, there's 3 days in between the second test and the third. So with Scotty playing the game against India and then the first test here, fairly close together, I imagine this is the game that he'll get a break, and Hazelwood will get, he's got some runs in the legs, and then he'll be able to play this one most likely. Again, we won't find out until the toss today, or tonight, that is. I think Hazy will have the rest because they have the 3-day turnaround, and Scotty will come back in. So that's most likely how they'll play this, and Paddy will try and play all of the test matches, but we'll see how he goes as well, especially being captain. That you'd like to have him there, and obviously bowled incredibly well. So I'd imagine Starkey comes in, just gives them a little bit of a change up. If the conditions suit, he'll be able to swing the ball a little bit more. What you did notice is the English guys swing the ball naturally way more than the Aussies did. You saw, they batted first, and Aussies just couldn't really move the ball too much, and then the English came out and were moving around as always. They just have a better knack of swing bowling than the Aussies do on a general basis. That Paddy, he did actually get the ball coming back in a decent amount in some good seam position, doing well there. But majority of the time he's a hit the seam type of bowler, very similar to that of Hazelwood. And same with Scotty Boland. So, Starkey's more, the guy that will swing it more. But yeah, when you've got Brody and you've got Anderson and these type of guys that do swing it a lot, it shows that there's just a massive difference. So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see how accurate Starkey can bowl if he does come in. That's kind of been his Achilles heel, is his accuracy. But obviously he has something different. He has a terrific Yorker, which Paddy Cummins seemed to be perfecting as well. So Starkey's average there, 31.89. Over in England is solid. Like it's a lot better than that of Mark Woods, who didn't get selected, but he definitely, as I said, offers that little bit different. When you've got Cam Green that didn't bowl too much either, he can be that third right arm quick that they can use, and they didn't need him as much because they had the three right armers, and you'd rather pick those three to bowl rather than Greeny being the fourth choice quick in that one. So that's Starkey for the most part. I just want to go through a few of the guys that are under a little bit of duress, and that will be starting with this little headline here: overweight Poms star blasted. So Bairstow obviously missed a bunch of chances in that first test, and it didn't work out too well for him. Apart from his batting was great. The wicket keeping was not, and a lot of people were looking for folks to make this squad, and that has not happened. They've just made the one change, so we'll have to see if he can bounce back with his wicket keeping. And to be honest, I'm watching his keeping. He just doesn't have the energy. He doesn't move a lot. You see, majority of keepers will just a normal leave or play and miss or something. They're catching the ball on the inside hip. So they're just moving their feet. That's more the theory with the catching on the inside hip, is getting your feet moving, making sure you're ready to go. And then very much the same when he's keeping to the spinners. He just doesn't have that energy that you need to make sure you get the ones that are tough. And he doesn't have a lot of the instincts that you may need that you need as a keeper as well. So sometimes it's like, well, if a bowler's a right arm off spinner like Moeen Ali, and the ball's the guy plays it for not much spin, what's the more likely outcome? It's going to beat the inside edge or the outside edge when it's spinning back into him, and he just wasn't ready for those type of things. So yeah, that's the issues there with Bairstow. So hopefully he can improve his wicket keeping, but it definitely, I think, played a big part in the Australians winning. Obviously his batting really helped, but the keeping kind of hurt him on that one. So that's the big one with Bairstow there. And let's go to the English players in general, and the Bazball style I don't think is an issue. We'll have to see what it looks like on this pitch, and I'd imagine that a few of the guys like Zach Crawley, I think will struggle, to be honest with you. He was perfect for that. The pitch they threw out in the first one, he actually looked fairly good in Australia as well. Like he would get 20 or 30 and then kind of get out. And I think I do think Crawley will struggle in this test match, unfortunately. Duckett, I think, could be fairly similar. He seems pretty loose outside the off stump, so any little movement there, I think we can nick him off fairly comfortably. Ollie Pope, I think he'll be able to be pretty solid in this one. He looked really tight in his technique, so he'll be good. Joe Root, I'm not worried about him as well. Harry Brook just needs to fix a couple of those errors that he has in his game, and he's super talented, so I wouldn't be stressed about him and his batting, as long as he can pick the right ball, because he's as I said, uber talented, a lot more talented than Duckett, I would say. He's got a good hand-eye, but just doesn't have the footwork that that Brook does, for example. And on this type of pitch is what I'm kind of getting at here, is that the movement there is going to cause some issues for sure in that one. And yeah, Stokesy, he'll just do his thing as per normal. Johnny Bairstow seems pretty solid in his technique as well. And then they get into the bowlers. So for them, obviously, no, most of the guys kind of did a solid job. Duckett's under a little bit of pressure. Pope would like a bigger score, but he looked fine in his outings. Crawley obviously scored a bit better, getting his 61. The 7 in the second innings wasn't great, but most of their guys just at least one of them needs to go with Root and get a big score there for sure. And yeah, with our bowling, Hazelwood, we'd like to see him bowl just a little bit better, because we know the talent and the quality that he possesses. We love Joshy. He's done it for a long time, and I think getting the runs in the legs will be great for him heading into the second test there. As I said, I think Scotty will switch with Starkey there, and Green didn't have to bowl too much. So yeah, I think Green will bowl a little bit more, especially if Starkey is in this test match. Okay, so let's go to the Aussies in their innings there. So Marnus and Smith, the two guys under duress coming into this week, this test match for sure. So what you're looking at there with those two guys is not many runs. It was 30 odd runs for the test match, for the 4 innings that they displayed between each other. And if they can step up, I think the Aussies win this second test match as well. Uzi, was amazing, so we're not worried about him. Thankfully, he's got his eye in nicely and would be very, very confident. Warner, we do need to see something more. I think, if he struggles in this test match as well, thankfully in that second innings he did help out, obviously with a 36, but if he can get a 50 plus score here, I think he'll have a little bit more confidence in his game, and the pressure will come off him a little bit, because if he does struggle again, and especially if the Aussies lose, that is when everyone will be coming for his head to get him out of the side. But a very, very important test match for David Warner there. Uzi's good, as I said. Travis Head, he's been really solid and has the confidence. So hopefully this type of pitch doesn't get him unstuck and with it moving a little bit too much. But we'll have to see on day one how that's tonight, how that pitch is actually looking come tonight. Cam Green looked much better in his technique. I was really happy with him playing the ball late, so I think that's going to help him on this type of wicket. And not super stressed on him. Less stressed than I was coming into that first test, that's for sure. Alex Carey seemed to have brought his technique in a little bit, a few less reverse sweeps, a few less craziness, and just playing good cricket shots. So again, we're not too worried about him and his batting. So it seems like probably a little bit more of a worry on the Australian batsmen. There's 3 of them, obviously 3 really important, experienced players. Compared to the English, we had obviously Uzi, Travis Head doing a great job for the most part, and Carey, the 3 guys with Pat Cummins actually scoring most of the runs in that test. So there are a few guys here that are under duress, and the English guys are kind of spread their runs about in that one there. So they're probably the main things we wanted to speak about in this. Just following on the Bairstow situation with the wicket keeping, seeing what the pitch does and how that affects the Australians, because most of the time they don't like coming to England and playing on these types of wickets because they aren't used to it. And just following the stories of Warner, Smith, and Labuschagne, I think is going to be massive. And do the English change their tactics at all in this one? So they're the 4 things I'd probably be looking at in this one, and see if Stark can play a bit of a role with some good swing and some aggressive bowling there. There's a big difference with how fast the Australians bowl compared to how fast the English bowl. So hopefully this wicket has a little bit more in it bounce-wise, as well as obviously the seam movement off the wicket. I wish the Aussies lots of luck, and I hope you enjoy it.